This meeting is being recorded.
And welcome back, everyone. This is what live podcasting is all about. We are with Daisy Paige, Chris Kozikas, Tanya Schiefer, and Philip Fortier from Defeat MSA. My name is Janis, your host, and this is the start of part 2 of the Daisy Thon. So I'm going to share my screen yet again. And we are still going through Tanya's presentation. Tanya, and obviously we didn't know, I should say I didn't know that you are where you are right now. And I just want to recognize that again, because you didn't have to be here today. And I am so grateful that you are, because you are just sharing such amazing information. Would you like me to go to the next slide?
Yes, thank you, please. Okay, well, this is what used to be called MSA. And in my particular case, that's where the mouse likes to go the most. As Daisy said, as the illness keeps moving forward, they get all intertwined. But I began with autonomic dysfunction, so this is a part that I know much better. And it's, as I said, everything that you don't have to think about. So you have sleeping disorders, and well, that it's a weird term because you don't know what they mean by that. And basically what it's all about is that, when you go to sleep, like your body, your movements turn off. You can have a dream about jumping off a cliff or riding a horse or riding a bike or whatever, and your body won't move with that. It will stay still and you will be peacefully sleeping. When you have MSA and you have involvement of that area of the brain, your body won't stop. So if you dream that you're running, then you'll start kicking and thrashing and moving around in your bed. And of course, your partner will have an awful time with that because you will be kicking him and throwing him off the bed or whatever. And then you might have nightmares, frequent nightmares, like every single night. And that's what they mean by sleep disorders. Then there's diaphragmatic weakness. The diaphragm is the muscle that makes you breathe. When it tightens up, you inhale, and when it lets go, you exhale, whether you think about it or not. And when you have a weak diaphragm, it just doesn't move all the way down. It doesn't. You can't breathe deeply, so to speak. And if you notice right now, I'm using oxygen, and that's why, because it's not like when you get pneumonia or the flu or something like that, or emphysema that you need it because your lungs are hurt. It's just that the diaphragm won't go all the way down. So you get tired when you try to exercise. You get tired sometimes from walking from one place to another, because your lungs are working as if they were smaller. And that can be a problem, especially when you get symptoms mixed. For example, if you have swallowing issues and you aspirate a bit, and usually when you drink some water and it goes the wrong way, you cough a lot. But when your diaphragm is weak, you don't cough that well, or you don't cough at all. So the water stays there, or whatever, or the orange juice or whatever, and it stays in your lungs, and then you get aspiration pneumonia. And that's something that's very, very bad for people with MSA. That part of the mortality of the patients is infection. You get pneumonias and the next part is the problems with bowel or bladder. Is that those also stop working properly as well. So there's something called neurogenic bladder. That means that you don't get the urge to go to the bathroom. You don't feel the need to go to the bathroom and pee. And then your bladder becomes, I mean, the size of a big balloon. You can have a gallon inside there and you won't notice, but obviously that's very bad for your body because they can go up to your kidneys and it can hurt all your urinary system. And that's why many people, and most people at the end with MSA, use a urinary catheter and a drainage bag because your bladder just won't work. You never feel the need to go, and sometimes even if you feel it, I mean, you won't feel it, and suddenly, I mean, urine flows out and you can't stop it. So that's why you use intermittent catheterization, and eventually you use a permanent catheter. And that's
Suprapubic, is that what the one you're referring to?
well, you can usually you begin with a urethral catheter, that is inserting a catheter the way that where you would usually pee from, and then because it's very hard to change the catheter by yourself, then you get a suprapubic catheter that's a little bit higher in your abdomen, like between your genital area and your navel. They make a hole and they insert a catheter, and you just have the urinary catheter from there. In my case, I chose that was the best option for me, and I've had a catheter for a suprapubic catheter for 11 years. I had a urethral catheter for 1 year, and I said, "Oh, this is too much of a problem." I'd rather have the other one because I don't know. Doctors think, and well, I'm saying this because this is about awareness. But doctors think that you're sick, and then they forget that you are also a person and you have, I don't know, a sex life maybe. So they say, "Oh, you keep that catheter and no problem." But it was a problem for me because you want to have intimacy, and it gets in the way, literally. So I said, no, I'd rather have something that I don't have to keep moving around and having problems with, because I'm still a person, and that's something very important. You're still a human, you still have a partner, you still love to laugh, and MSA doesn't affect your intellect. So you're still smart, even if you don't speak like perfectly, or even if you look clumsy when you move, that doesn't mean that you're not inside there. And that's a very, very important thing. Like, you're the same person inside, and you like to have fun, and you like to be happy, and you like to enjoy life. And what another?
Go ahead, Daisy.
I was just going to say, and I know too, I've also learned that you start out with self-catheterization, which is known to present the most UTIs. And then the indwelling catheter is the next one that has, less UTIs than self-catheterization, but it's hard to pronounce that, suprapubic catheter, they say it has the lowest level. There you go. Has the least level of UTIs, which is another common thing that people with MSA get, is UTIs often.
Yes.
Wow. Are we ready for the next slide, Tanya?
No. Oh, sorry. We're almost there. Then you get the issues with blood pressure. Many people find out they have MSA because they start passing out. Because when you stand up, your blood pressure doesn't stay there, doesn't stay where it should, and it drops, and then you faint. And that's when they usually get the diagnosis of dysautonomia or postural orthostatic POTS. It's called POTS.
Posture
Right.
orthostatic tachycardia syndrome.
Yes, sorry, that one. Thank you. Yes, they get that, and actually that was my initial diagnosis. I was told I had POTS, but then we started with shaking and other things, and then we say, oh no, this is not POTS, this is something extra. And then they sent me to a movement disorder specialist, and that's when I got my diagnosis. And when I was diagnosed 12 years ago, they said that men got it twice as often as women because it is more obvious, because they get sexual dysfunction that you can clearly see. And the main complaint was sexual dysfunction in men. So it was identified more easily because of that. But right now, as Philip said, the consensus is that it's 50-50, as many women as men had it. And then if we could move to the next slide. Okay, so then as Daisy said, in the beginning, we're all worried about, oh, it's MSA-P because it's got Parkinsonism symptoms, and MSA-C or cerebellar, and then we have problems with autonomic failure. But the truth is that with time, the protein mouse likes to walk everywhere, and then it gets all tangled up, and that's MSA. So if you only have Parkinsonian symptoms, you will be diagnosed as a person with Parkinson's. If you get cerebellar, then you're going to be diagnosed with something cerebellar in origin. I don't know. And if you have autonomic failure, you're going to probably be diagnosed with pure autonomic failure. But when you have all of the three, then you have MSA.
Gotcha.
So that's the differential diagnosis. I mean, it's much more complicated, and doctors have their criteria and everything, but like that's the formula. You have to have a little bit of all of them to be considered an MSA patient.
Wow. Whew. Are we ready for the next slide?
Yes, I think this is basically it.
Oh, that, okay. All right, let me hit the stop share. Wow. Thank you so much for putting that together, and really each of you for, sharing your different parts of that, which is, as I learn more and more about MSA, it really helps me to realize how very thankful that I am to be in all of your presence today. So thank you for sharing all of that information. Daisy Paige. How you doing, Daisy?
I'm here, hanging in there.
And I hear we may have a guest coming on that you know quite well.
Yes, are you ready for that?
I would love to have a chat with him.
Okay, let me get him here for you. Hold on.
No problem. So as we are waiting for Daisy to, oh, there he is. Daisy, can you still hear me? I think we're having some audio issues. Can you hear me? Oh, she was using her headphones, so.
I don't think she can hear you.
Yeah.
Tanya, I wanted to ask you a question if I could while we're
Yeah.
waiting for, oh,
Sure.
well, let me see if Janice are we able to.
Okay.
I think she wants to.
Can you guys hear me? But we can't hear you. I wonder if your headphones are still hooked up. I think that's what the issue may be. Hi. I can't hear you.
Hello.
Oh, now I can hear you. All right.
Okay.
So first of all,
Um,
it is an honor and pleasure to meet you. And you are Daisy's husband.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
was my hope.
And it's a pleasure to meet you as well. She said so much about you, and I'm grateful that that she's your friend.
Oh, well, thank you
And
so
and thank you for doing this. And I hope it's going to be it's the beginning of something really big.
You know what, Eugene, you really hit the nail on the head, because as I was sharing with everybody before we started recording, before I hit the record button, we've had, as I told Daisy, I've lost count. We've had over 10,000 views on all the different promos that were out there.
Wow, it's amazing.
That it is amazing. So I want to introduce you, of course, as I mentioned, you are Daisy's husband, Eugene Paige. Welcome to the Daisy Thon. And
So exciting. Thank you.
you're so welcome. Eugene, I know being not only a spouse, but a caregiver at times can be overwhelming. How has it, can you share with us your part of the story, and how has that really affected you to see this, your amazing wife, go through all of this?
It's really hard. With support like you is one of the best things that that she can get.
Well, I thank you for saying that, but I want to also recognize and acknowledge you, because I know that you, every time I chatted with Daisy and had the opportunity to, like, I knew we would become very, very good friends. And she's always had so many amazing things to say about her supportive husband and how you love and really care for her on a daily basis.
It's I have to do. It's a complete honor. I want to bear her for everything. I quit my job just so I could be here and be with her at every moment I could,
And that's,
and do for her whatever needed to be done.
I told him that he didn't sign up for it, but what did you tell me?
I kind of did, didn't I?
He said in his house he signed up for it. So.
oh my goodness. Yeah, that is true. Eugene, I wonder, from obviously a spouse perspective, when you heard the news that Daisy was diagnosed with MSA, what was going through your mind? Like, did you ever hear of MSA? Like, I'm sure it must have been just devastating to hear that news.
I was waiting at the motel that we're staying at. Her mother had taken her in, and she had called from the office and said that it wasn't Parkinsonism, it was MSA, and that she would be home later, and she acted fine about it, but I immediately just got on the phone, and I looked it up, and I seen everything, and I just died basically.
Obviously such devastating news, but each of you continued on to honor not only your individual selves, but together as a couple. And I know for, one trip that you took with Daisy, where she had the opportunity to meet her teenage heartthrob.
Yes, that was the biggest moment in her life, I bet you. Yeah,
Go ahead.
she likes to share that story so much. That's gonna be a legacy for her. We've got his autograph framed and everything. He changed her life completely too by saying what he did and telling her to write that book, and I couldn't be more grateful to him for being at that moment. Yeah.
He's not jealous.
I'm sorry, what, Daisy?
He's not jealous.
Oh my gosh. And I'm not sure if we even said his name, but his name is Kirk Cameron. And I'm sure many of us remember, and he was an amazing actor on Growing Pains way back when. And Daisy, when Daisy met him and he told her to write her book, Eugene, how did you feel about really Daisy pouring her heart into this book? Because that's that's a big project to take on.
It is. I knew that she could do it, though, and I knew it would be helpful to her as well. She had a lot of stuff she needed to say, and it would keep her mind off of it. I was hoping to.
Now, may I ask you, did you read her book before it was published?
Oh yeah, I was reading it the whole time that she was doing it, because she had asked me for, can you look up this word for me or something like that, or I said, let me see what kind of context we're going through here and all that. And she'd asked me, does this sound good, and stuff like that. So I was reading it all through.
Wow.
And
is there one thing in that book that stands out to you?
Well, just the whole, because I kind of knew the whole story to begin with, because I've known her for so long. Even before we were married, I knew the whole story. And there's even some stuff that wasn't told in the book that I had to tell her that I knew about, like with her father, and like autopsy reports that I didn't seen before, and that she didn't even get to see, but I actually seen them, and yeah, it's the whole story that it's just something you got to read.
Wow. And she really did pour her heart and soul into this book. And I know that she's feverishly working on her second book. And I assume that you're kind of reading along with that, correct?
I am. It's like two different things in it. The first of it's like some dreams that she's had, and she's told me about them. And so I've heard those before, and it's the continuation, which I've been there as well, of her story. So
that's awesome. Now, I want to ask you some questions in reference to being a caregiver, if that's okay, if you don't mind me asking.
sure.
What do you think is really important for a caregiver to go, knowing that, you know, from when you found out when Daisy was diagnosed to MSA to where you are today, and you had mentioned you had quit your job or that you left your job, what is one piece of advice that you can share, or if you have several that you'd like to share that really worked for you as a caregiver?
What was it? Oh yeah, it's the emotional is the biggest thing. Like I say, you being such a great person, that is with depression being a part of it. I think it might be physical, but I think it does so much harm to not be cared for, and having people around, and making sure, you know, that people listen to her and care for her is one of the biggest things with it.
Would you say that self-care for a caregiver is very important?
Self-care as in like for myself?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, let's say, like if you wanted to go to the bookstore, or if you needed to run an errand, but you also maybe wanted to just spend some time with yourself. Do you have an opportunity to practice any type of self-care?
To be honest, it doesn't cross my mind. I'm not here for me right now.
Gotcha.
When I do have to go to the store, like her daughter will come over for a couple hours and give me time to go get groceries and stuff like that. But I need to get back as quickly as I can, just because I don't want to be gone.
Now, Eugene, you had mentioned that you've known Daisy for quite a long time. How long have you actually known Daisy?
45 or more years, yes.
Wow. So
since school started.
so this was pre Kirk Cameron heartthrob, correct?
Right.
Oh my gosh. Well, Eugene, I can't thank you enough for sharing your part of the story, and being not only Daisy's amazing husband, but everything that you do on a daily basis. I just want to recognize you for that. And I can see that you are an amazing man, and I wish we lived closer, because
Me too. I would love for her to see y'all two hug next.
oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much. And I honor you as a caregiver. We need more Eugenes in the world, for sure.
Thank you, ma'am. I do what I should do, and I'm gonna just thank you for being there for us, and love you very much.
I love you too, heart and soul. Thank you. Wow. Daisy, he's a keeper. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's a keeper.
Yeah, he's a keeper for sure. Wow. Now I kind of want to open up, and I'm going to ask a question. And if each one of you would like to reply to that, that would be awesome. And then I want to chat a little bit more about Daisy's book. We all know, obviously, that Thanksgiving is coming up next week. What is one thing that you are grateful for today, Daisy?
I'd say Eugene, really, because there's been many a times that I wanted to throw, and Snoopy. We can't leave Snoopy out. But, but yeah, there's been many times that I wanted to just throw a towel, and he's been there to pick me up and tell me, I don't know if I can keep going. Then it's not time for me to throw in that towel.
Wow. We lost a little bit at the end there. Can you still hear me okay?
I can. Can y'all not hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I just
Okay.
clipped a little bit at the end of what you said there. But thank you so much for sharing that. Chris, I'm putting you on the spot. What's one thing you're thankful for?
I'm thankful that I'm still here and for my entire caring team. It is so good.
And tell them that, thank you from the bottom of my heart, because I can see when you said that, like your face just like lit up and you had this glow. So I want to acknowledge them as well. So thank you for sharing that. Tanya, you're up.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm thankful that, when I was given the diagnosis, they say, it's an illness that takes some time. And my children were all very small. And the smallest was just 2 years old. And I felt like I was going to die like the day after tomorrow. I didn't think I'd have time. So I wrote letters for them. I wrote letters for their prom, expecting not to be there, like now, what would I like to tell them? And I wrote them a lot of things to each one of them. And I'm very thankful that I'm still here and that I can still enjoy life, because it's not just about being here, it's about enjoying. And that I've been able to give them the letters personally on the day of their proms. And well, someone is not there just yet, but on birthdays, because I'm into writing a lot. So I wrote birthday cards, and I even bought blankets for when they have their first baby, if they so choose to, or they get married or whatever. This hasn't happened, but having the privilege of seeing much more than I thought that I was ever going to be able to see and to witness and to enjoy. That's something I'm very thankful for.
That's very beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Phil, you're up. I just want to say, I know one thing you're grateful for, that you finally made it home, correct?
That's for sure. I mean, traveling is getting harder because I have health problems myself. But I'm thankful for all the wonderful people I've met in my life, all over the world, the people with MSA and their caregivers. And I have met a great variety of people. And for you, Janis, I'm thankful for, I'm thankful for connecting with you too. So my dad used to say, everybody has a story, and everybody has something you can learn. You can learn something from everyone, every kind of person. My dad also had a varied life, I may have mentioned he worked in the civil rights movement, and he met a lot of people through the civil rights movement in Detroit. and elsewhere. And used to say you can learn something about everyone. You can learn something. You can take some good from every person you meet. So I'm thankful for that.
Amen to that. And your dad said it so well, and it really rings true. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to share, of course, that I am thankful for being here with all of you today. And as a sidebar, when Daisy and Phil and I were talking the other night, I was complaining about a bad hair day. And although it's not as crazy today, it's still a bad hair day, but you know what? It's all good. I've got my lipstick on. So I am also thankful for my lipstick. Anyways, so Daisy, favorite pie for Thanksgiving. What is your favorite pie?
Chocolate.
You like dark chocolate?
Oh no. No, never been a dark chocolate fan.
See, that's where we differ, but that's okay. I still love you.
My grandmother used to make the best chocolate pies, and that's what I truly miss. I try to replicate it or have it replicated. It's just the same.
Wow. Okay, Chris, you're up again. What's your favorite pie?
We don't celebrate
Oh,
here, but I still love sweet stuff.
mm,
And now I've got an excuse to have whatever I want.
I hear that. So I tell Eugene all the time. He's like, "Haven't you had enough?" I said, "Well, I can't eat it. I'm going to enjoy it."
Yeah. Sweets for breakfast.
absolutely. I can remember when I first moved back to Connecticut, having a bowl of ice cream for breakfast. I'm like, this is so cool, having ice cream for breakfast. Tanya, you're up. What is your favorite pie?
I'd say lemon pie.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, lemon is something that we never think of. That's a good one. I will have to try that.
Yeah, it's a mixture of well, you'd call it lime because it's the green one, because the names are here in Mexico. The lime is a yellow one, and the green is a lime. No, sorry. Yes, lime is a yellow one, and lemon is a green one. So we mix lime with cream cheese and crackers at the bottom, and it's the best thing ever.
Wow. Now lemon and lime challenge. I thought I had the whole time zone challenge thing. Now, whatever. Those are my issues.
It
Story.
tastes good. It tastes good. That's
all I need to know.
Yeah.
Perfect. Bill, you're up. Favorite pie.
Well, one thing is I just came back from Australia, and I had Olivia Romano is the VP of the Australia charity, and she was trying to figure out, you know, what I should take home from Australia. So she gave me too much Tim Tams, and this is a native to Australia, Tim Tams, and they're chocolate. They're not. It's not a pie, but it's a chocolate. It's similar to Kit Kat, but it's a bigger thing, thicker. And then she gave me Lamingtons and Vegemite and all these, you know, quintessential Australian treats. So so I had to pay for an extra whole big suitcase because it was full of this stuff. And I brought it home to my spouse, and he's been eating it like crazy.
Oh,
Chris knows exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, Chris knows exactly. So I can't say pie, but I do like apple pie. It's fine for Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving's coming up, right? At least in the U.S., Thanksgiving.
yes, yes.
You know, there is a different day for Canadian Thanksgiving. I think they already had it, and then I'm sure we should be thankful all the time anyway. We should.
You're absolutely correct. Thank you for sharing that. Chris, I see you grinning from ear to ear over there. Do you have like a bowl of chocolates near you or something? Or you eat?
All the time. All the time.
Oh, she's a sly one. We got to watch her. Oh my goodness. Daisy, I want to talk about your book, Unexpected Moments. And as we know, as life goes on, life can be filled with many unexpected moments, and some are amazing, some are very traumatic, and some are very personal. And you shared that, but then some, because you wanted to share your story in such a way that honored your journey. Is it all right with you if I read the foreword by Kirk Cameron?
You know it is.
Okay. So I
Bill,
just,
did you get a chance to read yet?
I'm sorry, what?
I was asking Phil if he had the chance to read it yet. You did? Okay, good.
Yeah, I read it.
So I just want to show, and for our listeners on the Wisdom Audio app, I want to thank all of you for being here today. We couldn't do this without you. We have a lot of listeners on, so thank you so much. I am holding up a copy of Daisy's book, Unexpected Moments. And Daisy met Kirk Cameron, and they had an amazing conversation together. And she gave him a little bit of shit about the years ago when she wrote her letter and never got a reply to him, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. And he wrote a beautiful foreword for her book, and I just want to read it to you. It was an autumn night in Texas when I first met Daisy. She came up in a wheelchair next to me at the campfire. Her smile was bright. She shared her journey with me and told me she did not have much time left on earth. I told her to write down her story, and I would do anything I could to help her share her story with the world. I only spoke with her briefly that night, but her attitude and resilient spirit inspired me. I hope this book of an individual's incredible journey through emotional, physical, and spiritual pain, and coming through the other side of tragedy, still praising the Lord, will encourage you in your present situation. Daisy's message will bring you comfort and remind you that you are not alone in your struggles or life's circumstances. I pray her words bring you hope. There is one who knows the plans he has for you. Plans to give you hope in a future. Jeremiah 29:11, Kirk Cameron. Daisy, I know you've read Kirk's foreword several times.
Yep, it still tears me up every time.
I was going to say that, and it really brings to light let me back up just a little bit. For some reason, we all think of coincidences, but I don't believe that was a coincidence. I believe that God and Kurt meant for you to meet each other, because there you were inspired to write this book. You, Daisy, inspired Kurt, and through the Lord, he sat with you, and he prayed with you and mentioned for you to share your story. When you first thought of, oh my gosh, now I have this time with Kurt, but you really thought more of it as the perception of where your journey was headed to. Like, And I think you had shared with me at one point, sharing my story, like, how am I going to do that? Can you kind of take us back to that moment where Kurt had mentioned to you about writing your book?
Yeah, it was after my diagnosis, and I'm sure Korea and Tanya can relate. The movement disorder specialist told me, take each day as it's your last and enjoy it to the fullest, because you don't know how many days you have. And, just do what you can while you can. And so I was planning on actually going to New York to visit one of my best friends. And she came down with COVID, and so I wasn't able to go. But after before that, when I get the diagnosis, I had a vision or dream, so to speak, of God telling me, my child, your time is near, but you must share your story from the beginning first. And, that's kind of all I got of it. I got to share my story. So I told Kurt that I had MSA, and I gave him a Defeat MSA bracelet, one of the ones that Phil had sent me for being able to help us spread awareness at my book signings or books promos. And I guess between the time that he ended on the stage and we go out for a campfire, he had actually taken the time and looked up what MSA was. And well, when I called him out when I said, when I was a teenager, I was your biggest fan. I had your poster on my bedroom wall, but I wrote you a letter and I gave you 3 months to send me back a autographed picture, and you didn't. So I got so mad at you, I tore all the posters down off my walls. And he said, well, I'll make that for you tonight. And so like you said, after the campfire, I grabbed the security guard and I said, can I get Kirk to come and sign my ticket for me? And he said, yes, he wants to speak with you anyway. So he went and got him, and that's when he said it's terminal, the MSA that you have. And I said, yes, it is. And he asked if he could pray for me. And he knelt down and he grabbed my hand before he prayed. I thought, oh my gosh, this is Kirk Cameron. He's holding both my hands, Wow. I was just starstruck, so to speak. And then he bent his head down and prayed a beautiful prayer for me. And afterwards, I told him about my vision and that God wants me to share my story, but I don't know how to do it. And he said, why don't you write a book? And I said, me write a book? I've written it. I don't know how to write a book. He said, you don't write the book. He said, you pray about it. You ask God to give you the words. He'll give you those words, and that's how you write your book. And so I prayed, and the words just came flowing out. And after that, I devoted 2 to 3 hours a day, kind of split it up over the day, and wrote it in 3 months. I had it published, or in 3 months, I finished with it. And I kept, Kirk gave me his email address, so I kept in contact with him and told him, I'm on chapters 23 or whatever. And when I got done, I said, I'm finished. And send me the manuscript. I want to read it. So within a week, he sent me back that foreword that Janis just read. And I sent all that to the publisher, and I had it published by March. I started writing in October, and it was published in March, just this past March.
So you wrote a book that fast. That's amazing.
I was determined and motivated, and Kurt inspired me. It's like I inspired him. I guess he inspired me too.
Wow. And I just
keyboard to work.
Yeah. And I just want to say, I think waiting 3 months for a reply is more than enough. So that was so nice of him, so incredibly generous of him to write such an amazing foreword. when I received your book, first of all, I love the cover because, you know, and I'm going to show it again. Can you explain to me, obviously I know the answer to this. This is a beautiful cover, by the way.
My daughter painted it.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And of course, I was able to get the hex codes, and that was how I created the graphics for the Daisy Thon. Explain to me this cover though, because when you look at this cover, it's almost as though I can picture, after I read the book, where you were on this road, where you were on this path.
You're right, it's the journey of my life in the cover. I have crossed hurdles, so to speak, which is the barricade. And I've gone down this windy road over rocky mountains. And I don't know if y'all can see, but in this mountain up here, there's a broken bridge, across broken bridges. So it says, and it shares the trials and tribulations that I've gone through, that I've endured, and I think that made me become the person that I am in this journey. That I had to go over bumps, hurdles, jump over hurdles, cross broken bridges, and I've climbed many rocky mountains. That is where my journey will end. It's here. There won't be any more pain. I'll be where I need to be, where I'm meant to be, so to speak.
Right. And
The mountaintop, that Martin Luther King spoke about when he said, "I've seen the mountaintop." You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think was the hardest part about writing this book?
A lot of my memories I had repressed because they were traumatic. So it was getting those to surface, and when they did surface and putting them on paper, it was heartbreaking. It's like I was going through the trauma all over again. But at the same time, it was very therapeutic. And I have a Christian counselor that I speak to once a week, and every time I would get to a point in my story that was traumatic, the next day would be an appointment that I had with her. So it was like God was lining it up for me, where I could express those hard times on the paper, but then I could talk them over with my therapist the next day. And we dealt with each trauma as one by one. And when one trauma was brought up, I wrote a letter to that person that harmed me, burnt it, and I buried it in my backyard.
Wow.
And I have one trauma.
I got a chill when you said that, and I'm sorry for interrupting you. And I'm Italian.
No, that's okay. One trauma in my book is about my brother. He did abuse me for 4.5, 5 years, and I would take pictures of him. I would hang pictures of him in my backyard, and I would go and just shoot him. And first shot, my husband said I got him right between the eyes. So I was getting that anxiety or that turmoil, or so to speak, that I had buried inside and came out. And after I wrote the book, I felt like I was 100 pounds lighter. It was just.
And there's truth in that when you are working on something that is such a vulnerable story, and those memories, as you mentioned, when they come up, it's like you do go through the event again, and then sitting down and writing that letter to that person who, whatever it was in reference to, I almost imagine writing such a letter, having it burn, but then taking the burning mesh of paper, and then you're out of here. And as you said, that just was like you felt 100 pounds lighter. that emotional weight that we carry around with us.
It can be heavier than some of the weight that's physical. And then another hard part of the book was, writing about when I was diagnosed with MSA. That I think Chris or Tanya said it was like a death sentence. Basically you're getting, because you don't know. I mean, each of us don't know from 1 second, 1 minute, 1 week, month, or year when our time is. We could walk out and get hit by a car, but still,
Yeah.
just hearing that you have a chronic terminal illness it's like basically getting shot in the heart.
Wow. We are almost at the second hour mark, and I'm going to do a pause on the recording. So we have 3 separate and very distinct recordings. And this is the end of part 2, but we will be back in just a moment. And we are still live, of course, on the Wisdom Audio app and on Facebook. So bear with me just a moment.